God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is the Nathan Napalm channel, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in Pantheon related content on our march to launch. Today, guys, I want to talk about something very interesting, and I have evidence to back it up. And it comes from Brad McQuaid's mouth, and that is how far along are we really into the development of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Now, Brad has stated very publicly, very plainly, no dates, okay? So this is not a guess of when things will happen. This is more of a where are we on the development timeline of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, because I think a lot of people are starting to feel like that Visionary Realms is much further behind than they actually are, and that's simply because they've kind of went dark. They kind of, closed the curtains for a while to hammer down Project Fairfield, to get the game into a minimum caliber launch, at least in this cluster of zones, so that they can use that acquired assets and systems to propel the rest of the world and create the rest of the game. So, everything that is in the game, I guess you could say, in some capacity, is also in fair health. Therefore, all the main systems can be ironed out and put into place and be ready for testing. That's great. That's awesome. But where are we exactly? I've been saying for a while now, right here on this channel, that I thought the next pre-alpha would be the last one. And guess what? It is. At least that's the plan right now. It could change if things go awry or anything is out of place. But for now, that's also what Brad McQuaid says. Now let's listen to exactly what he said, and then we'll break it up a little further.
First, I would, friendly reminder that of where the game is at. We're wrapping up pre-alpha. We're heading towards probably our last pre-alpha phase, and you can say, and so the game is now. Then someone could say, well, why are you hyping it and getting us so excited when you're in pre-alpha? Why didn't you just wait? And the reason why there is because we're mostly a crowd-funded game, and that's one of the luxuries a fully funded part of like published game has. Although there's many more downsides, but one of their upsides is they can simply not announce or announce very little. And they don't have to build up a community and a fan base early on. And we did, and we do. We get most of our funding from angel investors and crowdfunding. And so we need to keep our community, and we enjoy keeping our community informed as much as we possibly can. But given how the game, with the game that's this early, we're focusing, like I said, on that. Right now, on there's a huge milestone called Project Fairfield that we're working on. We can't wait to show it to the fans, to the community. We went dark a little bit longer than we usually, because this is a much bigger, I think, forward change to the visuals, to the gameplay, to everything, and I think people will appreciate it once they experience it. Then, like I said, wrapping up pre-alpha, we have obligations to our VIP testers and appreciate them very much. And then we've got to drive very hard towards alpha, starting out with Alpha 1 project. And that's a mostly feature complete version of the game, where the identity of what makes Pantheon truly unique, we want to be able to show that. I can talk about that all day long, to the fact, to the web page, to previous talks and interviews and streams. We've talked a lot about what makes Pantheon different, but still in a lot of people's minds it's just a modern skinned old school MMO, and it isn't. There's so much more to it, and so we've got to get there. We've got to get to the point where I can show and not just tell, and that's the reason that we are at where we're at, and why we were staying away from dates. And again, of course, the biggest thing is managing expectations. People upset with me for not releasing any dates, than to release a date that I wouldn't lie about it, truly believe in, but later, for any number of reasons, decided to change. Like, oh, something came up with technology we want to take advantage of. We're going to move that date by a month. Internally, that's not a big deal. We just course correct, recalibrate, change the scheduling. But to people who, on the outside, who've been looking forward to a certain date, if that date changes, it gets them upset. It surprises them, and I'd just rather avoid that and manage expectations the best that we can.
So first of all, I hope you heard it in his voice. The way he was wording that, wrapping up, it lasted a little longer than we thought. In other words, there's light at the end of the tunnel. He wouldn't be saying that if he didn't realize, like, he's looking back at it now. Like, Project Bear took a while. Obviously, they're not done yet, but they're getting to that point where they're like, all right, we're pretty much putting the final works on it, doing our final touches here. Got a couple of things to iron out, but we got through the hard part, all right? We're pretty much at the light at the end of the tunnel, so that's great news. We kind of felt that kind of vibe also in the newsletter. The last newsletter came out for July, all that kind of thing, but his language here is even more telling, okay? And not only that, but I also want to touch on the fact that he's talking about how they had to work with the community. They had to build a community around it. It was a crowdfunded game, so it was absolutely necessary. And of course, he enjoyed it, and he thinks that it's very important anyway, but it was absolutely mandatory. Just like if he was going through a publisher, he'd have to have meetings with investors, etc., to ensure that their money's in the right place, all right? Now, it's very unique when you're dealing with the actual customers directly who have prepaid for the game. Of course, that's totally different than an investor type situation, but at the same time, they kind of treated it the same, besides Project Parrot, where they just wanted a big update. They wanted something massive to give to us and really propel Pantheon into the future. And that's what they're wrapping up on right now, guys. So I know everybody wanted dates, everybody wanted to know when. Here's what I can say. Soon. It's obviously soon. You can hear it in the language. You can read it in the language on the newsletter. It's obviously coming soon. And Alpha, which I know everybody's super pumped about, all right, because we go from Alpha to Beta to launch. So, of course, Alpha's the next big thing, since we've been in Pre-Alpha, technically, for quite a while here, I guess you could say. I don't think it's been that long, considering what they've accomplished. I think it's been extremely short. Of course, it's easy to say that in retrospect when you realize you're coming out of it fairly soon. But in any case, Alpha is beyond that, because as long as everything's going smoothly and continues the way that it is, as you just heard, this will be the last phase of Pre-Alpha, and then they'll be going into Alpha. So this is great news, guys, and I know that this interview is about a week and a half old since I made this video, but I wanted to touch on a couple other topics first before I got to this. But I thought this was super juicy, super informative, and very, very nice to hear for the ear. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. Hope you're excited for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. We've got very exciting times coming up, guys. And before I finish, one more thing I want to tell everybody, and that's kind of on the same subject that Pantheon's on. So I hear a lot of the times, why did you start so early talking about Pantheon? You started too early. There's not enough information. Well guys, I'm sorry, but I've made over 120 videos about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen right here on my channel, and I've never actually truly felt like I had nothing left to talk about. There's plenty to talk about when you're talking about a game as big and as epic and as game-changing as Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is. I've never ran out of content to talk about. I've talked about other subjects, Camelot Unchained, RPGs, other MMOs, old school MMOs. I've done all kinds of things, and that will continue. But Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is my main focus, and I've released consistently at least several videos a week on average about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, and I do not believe I started early. I believe I started just in time. I actually timed it out. I waited until there was enough information about Pantheon for me to A, feel comfortable to talk about it on YouTube, but also to try to build a fan base around that and give people more information and more content to consume. And I hope you've enjoyed it here on the Nathan Napalm channel. And if you're new here, please dive into that playlist. I have a playlist specifically for Pantheon content, and like I say, there's a ton of videos, hours and hours and hours of content for you to consume and learn so much about this amazing game and the vision that Brad McQuaid's going for, and that he's stuck true to this entire development cycle all the way up to this point. But guys, if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing that. Also, check out the Nathan Napalm Loot Store. I do have several t-shirts and things available there, mugs, all kinds of stuff. Go check that out and help support the channel if you so desire. And until next time, guys, God bless and happy gaming. Please listen to what I say. I've been making videos all day. My friends all say I'm it's a video buffet. You can even hit replay. But please just subscribe. I can't even describe being part of my tribe. I'll even offer you a prize. But just please just subscribe and hit the bell notification too.